News broke yesterday that the Hall of Fame NFL coach and the legendary broadcaster John Madden passed away yesterday at the age of 85. And of course, this comes just a couple days after an incredible documentary about his life was released on Christmas by Fox a couple days ago. And I just wanted to talk about John Madden a little bit. Obviously, I wasn't born right when John Madden was at the peak of his broadcasting, but I did watch him for years. And this is a guy who obviously was a star high school football player, actually earned a scholarship to the University of Oregon, and was childhood friends with the legendary USC coach, John Robinson, for a long time. Ended up transferring to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo after that brief stint. And 1958, made the Eagles practice squad for one season, ended up getting injured that derailed his professional playing career. But this is a guy who has really had to just undergo so much. His journey is quite amazing for someone who had to start at the junior college level at Allen Hancock, which is actually in California, part of the kind of Western State Conference at the junior college level. And from there, he was a defensive coordinator at San Diego State for 2 years. And that's what kind of allowed him to shine a little bit. And he landed his job with the Oakland Raiders as a linebackers coach before being most famously known as the head coach of the Oakland Raiders for 10 years. Great 10-year stint. In fact, he was kind of the perfect guy to coach this renegade Raiders team. He was burly, he was unpretentious. He dressed a little disheveled on the sideline because that's who he is. He was very modest, very humble individual. And the fact that he was coaching a bunch of castaways and misfits at that time, it was perfect for him to be the voice on the sideline. How animated and how passionate he was about the game of football and about his coaching. He was obviously, after that, a legendary broadcaster for 3 decades, about 1979 to 2008, was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006. And the interesting thing about him is he was obviously a part of so many tremendous games. I mean, as a coach, again, he reached 7 AFC title games, part of the 78 kind of holy roller game, was part of the Immaculate Reception game in 1972 between the Steelers and the Raiders. That was that incredible, just out of this world 4th down completion, Terry Bradshaw with the Steelers, and it hits 2 defenders on a 4th and 10. It ricochets off the back of 2 Raiders defenders into the hands of Franco Harris, and he runs it for a touchdown. They win 13-7. But then he ultimately prevailed and won a Super Bowl in 1977 over the Minnesota Vikings. And again, this was during a time in which Fred Biletnikoff was the Super Bowl MVP. Ken Stabler was the quarterback, and he had to go through the steel curtain at that time. There were a lot of elite teams when he was coaching, and yet during that time, his record was 103-32-7. 76% winning percentage, which is the highest among NFL coaches who have coached over 100 games. But the thing about John Madden is obviously people now that grow up recognize him because of the name, because of the Madden football game. And obviously he endorsed that product. But at his heart, John Madden was a teacher. He was a communicator. He had a deep passion and affinity for the game of football, for the sport of football. And more importantly, in conveying that passion to others. His ability to process complex plays on a football field and present it in a way that was both informing, yet captivating and entertaining, and digestible in an easily digestible manner, rather, to process it in an easily digestible manner, is one of the things that made him so unique about his position, about his job. because that's the job of a broadcaster, is to be able to relay information in a succinct manner that's easily comprehensible. And yet John Madden had a way about doing it that was so special. And again, it was so informative, but it was also so entertaining because people tuned in to football games to listen to John Madden, to listen to what he had to say. Whether it was a blowout, you would stay in till the end. You would stay tuned in to hear what type of remark or interjection he was going to make. He was famous for just saying boom and doink and saying a bunch of terms, really just relaying the emotions that he was feeling in the moment. Whatever he was feeling in the moment on the booth, watching the football game, that's what you got. You kind of felt like you were within close proximity to him. And obviously, one of my favorite moments with John Madden has to do with the turducken. He kind of made that a tradition on Thanksgiving, serving a turducken, which is a deconstructed chicken stuffed inside a deconstructed duck, stuffed inside a deconstructed turkey. And that's what he would serve. Famously did that. And there were times when he was commenting, whenever there's any kind of ancillary stuff going on in a football game, maybe there's a pigeon out on the field, he would be making some quick kind of witty remarks about it. I remember he commented on Troy Aikman's lack of a beard once as well. And again, what he wanted to do the most, more than anything, was teach the game of football to others, to be able to hopefully convey the same passion to those that didn't quite get the experiences that he got, to be on the field, to be coaching these players, to be in the booth, to watch the games being played. You wanted to convey that same joy and to share that same love and affinity for the sport. And I remember reading about how he recalled one time right after he got injured. Again, this was in 1958 when he was on the Philadelphia Eagles training summer team, the practice squad, rather, summer practice squad. And again, he injured his knee, and he ended up kind of, because of an assistant coach, gravitating towards watching film, watching game tape. And that's what encouraged him to earn a degree in teaching. And this was a guy who was extremely precocious, extremely knowledgeable. He was a brilliant football mind. He became the youngest head football coach at the time. He was 32 when he got the Raiders gig. Again, we think about guys like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur and Sean McDermott and Brandon Staley and Nick Sirianni, all these guys who are young and they're getting chances to be the head coach of football teams. John Madden kind of paved the way for that. John Madden popularized the sport of football. He really, really helped grow its popularity, not only through the game, Madden, but first and foremost because of the educational value that he brought to the broadcast. I mean, again, his greatest skill set was in teaching and communicating. And as a legendary broadcaster, he really changed the way that we viewed football games. We viewed NFL games. And he was just universally beloved, whether it was by players, by coaches, by fans, by media. Everyone loved John Madden. In fact, when the documentary came out about him, everyone was willing to speak up about him. Every time the film crews approached people to talk about John Madden, no one shied away. Even people that had kind of remained a little bit more recluse throughout the majority of their careers, they just decided, hey, for this guy, I want to talk. And again, he was a star broadcaster. He was the first broadcaster to broadcast across 4 major NFL networks, both Fox, both CBS, Fox, ABC, and NBC. And whether he was paired with Pat Summerall or Al Michaels, it was a joy and a thrill to listen to him and to hear him broadcast. And I remember there's apparently, he kind of made broadcasting a cool thing. He was a star broadcaster, which is part of the reason why I have so much affinity for him. When he joined Fox, when the Murdoch's family, Rupert Murdoch, the owner, when he signed John Madden, because he was a star, all the networks wanted him. He paid John Madden more money than any active NFL player was making in the league at the time. That's how big time John Madden was, a 16-time Emmy winner. And again, obviously famously known for taking his buses everywhere because he had a aerophobia, fear of flying, or an aviophobia. I'm not really sure which one it is. And he was claustrophobic as well. So those two things kind of contributed to him just taking a bus all the way around. But I know for me, again, the passion for him came for teaching. He wanted to teach at the heart. And for me, getting a chance to watch him, to listen to him was a true privilege. And he's an iconic figure. And he's someone that the NFL game, that the game of football will dearly miss. And it was just a privilege to get a chance to watch him. But he will be dearly missed. John Madden.